The reality of the cure. I, a husband who went through it all. Hi, say, take a little walk with me, will ya? Hope things are not too hectic for you. Believe me, it can get there, but I truly hope for you it does not. Our wife went through cancer, where, when, what and who we are is not the point. This is a collection of remembrances I kept on our journey. Why? So maybe it could help you. Now, 2 cancer treatments are really alike. Each cancer requires the team of doctors and nurses to review, evaluate and put together a protocol for each person. That is their life's work, and they studied hard and have had too many cases before ours to even think about. They may not always see us as we see our spouses or relatives, they just maybe met us, and doctors and formality go hand in hand. Not a bad thing, but one of those unfamiliar aspects of life that we all try to avoid, going to the doctors. So now it begins. Cancer has reared its ugly head in your domain. It was not invited, not expected, not welcomed, but has certainly established itself in your life. I have tried to point out some things in the next few months that you may have to deal with, or not. Remember, no 2 cancers are exactly alike. And in saying that, I hope you might find something in my notes here that could aid in your weeks of treatment and beyond. Now I have to say this, kinder of required, public notice and disclaimer. This video is made from my personal experiences with the reality of the cure, and I'm still going through the stages of cancer as it related to my wife. This could happen to you, or not, or be better or worse. There is no one-size-fits-all with cancer. Everyone is different, but being aware ahead of time of some of the aspects we encountered might just assist you in your lifelong treatments and examinations. These videos are meant for you to know that you might be one of the 18 million survivors of the reality of the cure. I hope this benefits you. I wish I would have had something like this to know what might have been ahead. And for us, me and my wife, this was our journey. The material presented in this production is distributed strictly for public awareness, educational analysis, and informational transparency regarding potential systemic outcomes and realities. The content herein represents specialized documentation intended to inform, caution, and enlighten the viewer. It does not constitute formal medical, legal, or institutional mandate. Viewers are advised to approach the material with an open mind toward understanding the broader reality of these documented events. This material is from my heart and is for informational purposes only. I am no doctor, I am a husband, and what I have experienced is what I hope I might be able to provide you. There is no cost involved, no 800 numbers to call. These videos are provided so that you have a 2026 understanding of how the reality of the cure could affect you. Because this happened to my wife, names and locations are not important. Cancer exists worldwide. For medical advice or diagnosis, contact your doctor. Okay, enough of that. Now on to my story. Hope it will help you. The reality of the cure. What no one tells you before cancer changes everything. Chapter 1. The phone call. Nobody expects life to divide itself into before and after. It usually happens in the middle of something ordinary. A cup of coffee grows cold on the kitchen table. A load of laundry waits to be folded. The dog wants to go outside. The phone rings. Nothing about the ringtone hints that the world is about to change forever. The voice on the other end is calm, almost rehearsed. Years of experience have taught them how to deliver devastating news without allowing emotion to enter the conversation. There are some results we'd like to discuss. The words arrive politely, professionally, almost gently. Then come the medical terms, the vocabulary of another universe. Malignant, aggressive, further testing, Oncology. The human brain does something remarkable when confronted with overwhelming fear. It simply refuses to understand. You hear every word. You remember almost none of them. Your eyes drift toward the person you love most in this world. They have no idea that the future has already begun changing. For one impossible moment, you consider pretending everything is normal. Maybe if you don't repeat the words out loud, they won't become real. But cancer doesn't wait for acceptance. It simply arrives. Television has trained us to expect inspirational music at this point. Someone squeezes another person's hand. A determined smile appears. The battle begins. Real life is nothing like that. Real life begins with silence. Not peaceful silence. A crushing, suffocating silence where your mind races faster than your body can follow. How do you tell someone you love that their life may never be the same? How do you say words that you barely understand yourself? There is no training for that conversation. No instruction manual. No class anyone ever offers. You simply open your mouth and hope your voice doesn't disappear before the first sentence is finished. Within hours, your calendar no longer belongs to you. Every day becomes someone else's schedule. Appointments, consultations, blood draws, scans, insurance calls, forms that require initials in tiny little boxes, more forms, then still more forms. The machinery of modern medicine is astonishingly efficient. It moves with incredible precision. Unfortunately, it doesn't slow down simply because your heart has stopped making sense of the world. Everyone is kind. Everyone is professional. Everyone seems to know exactly what happens next. Everyone, except you. Waiting becomes your new occupation. Waiting for appointments. Waiting for specialists. Waiting for insurance approvals. Waiting for laboratory reports. Waiting for scans. Waiting for someone to finally tell you exactly what tomorrow is supposed to look like. Nobody warns you that waiting is exhausting. It steals sleep. It steals concentration. It steals conversations. It even steals ordinary moments that once brought joy. You discover there is a special kind of loneliness that exists only inside medical waiting rooms. People sit only a few feet apart, yet everyone is completely alone. Each family carries its own invisible storm. No one knows whether the stranger beside them is beginning the journey or nearing its end. Eventually, you learn one of the first great truths of serious illness. The diagnosis is not simply about disease. It is the sudden loss of control. Yesterday, you managed your own schedule. Today, your life is measured by appointment cards and pathology reports. Yesterday, you were planning vacations, birthdays, holidays, and ordinary weekends. Today, you're learning words you never wanted to know. And somewhere in the middle of all that, you begin grieving. Not because anyone has died, but because the life you believed you were living quietly disappeared with a single phone call. This book begins here because every family deserves to know the truth. Not to create fear, not to destroy hope, but because hope built on honesty is stronger than hope built on slogans. Cancer changes more than a body. It changes marriages, families, friendships, finances, faith, identity. If this story can help even one family step into that unknown better prepared than we were, then every page that follows will have served its purpose. Chapter 2. When medicine becomes your full-time job. There is a moment after the diagnosis when you believe the hardest part is over. You are wrong. The phone call was only the invitation. Now you are expected to enter a world with its own language, customs, rules, and rhythms. A world that seems to operate independently of the life you were living only days before. The first visit to an oncology center feels strangely unreal. Outside, people are buying groceries, heading to work, arguing over traffic, and planning vacations. Inside, every conversation revolves around one question. How do we stop this disease? The waiting room is unlike any other place. No one is there by accident. No one is there because they want to be. Every face carries a private story, and every family silently wonders whether their story will end well. You quickly learn not to judge by appearances. The energetic man joking with the receptionist may have just completed his final treatment. The smiling woman reading a magazine may have received devastating news only yesterday. Cancer makes strangers into silent companions. You never know each other's names, yet you understand one another without speaking. Eventually, your name is called. You follow a nurse through a maze of identical hallways. Every door looks the same. Every room smells faintly of antiseptic. Every monitor quietly reminds you that this building exists because illness exists. The examination room is small. Too small for the thoughts crowding your mind. A paper-covered examination table waits in one corner. A computer screen glows in another. You sit, and then you wait again. Waiting becomes so common that you begin measuring time differently. Not by hours, by names. Waiting for the nurse. Waiting for the physician. Waiting for laboratory results. Waiting for someone to explain what happens next. When the physician enters, they bring more than a chart. They bring a new reality. Scans appear on the monitor. Numbers fill the screen. Measurements, percentages, laboratory values. Medical terminology flows naturally from someone who has spent years mastering this language. To you, it sounds like someone reading instructions from a foreign manual while your future hangs in the balance. You try to listen. You truly do. But fear is a terrible translator. You catch fragments. This treatment, impossible side effects, recommended protocol, a good response. We'll monitor closely. Hours later, you'll discover that you remember almost none of the conversation in the order it occurred. Trauma has a way of rearranging memory. One lesson becomes obvious almost immediately. Doctors possess extraordinary knowledge. but they cannot know everything about you. They don't know what makes you laugh. They don't know the routines that bring you comfort. They don't know which promises you've made to your family or what dreams you still hope to fulfill. Those are things only you can bring into the room. That is why questions matter. Ask them, then ask another. If an explanation doesn't make sense, ask again. Not because you're challenging the physician, because you're protecting yourself. Medicine works best when expertise and understanding meet in the middle. Something else surprises you. There isn't one doctor. There are many. One specializes in surgery, another in medications, another in radiation, another studies imaging, another monitors laboratory work. Each is exceptionally skilled. Each sees a different piece of the puzzle. You slowly realize that someone has to connect those pieces. Many times, that someone is you. Folders begin piling up at home. Appointment cards collect on the kitchen counter. Phone numbers multiply. Insurance paperwork grows into neat stacks that somehow never become smaller. No one warns you that becoming a patient also means becoming an organizer, a scheduler, a record keeper, and sometimes an advocate. Illness has paperwork, lots of it. Then comes one of the most difficult conversations, the discussion about treatment. Television often portrays medicine as certainty. Real medicine is more honest. Doctors discuss probabilities, benefits, risks, alternatives. No one can promise outcomes. That uncertainty is uncomfortable for everyone involved. You long for absolute answers. Instead, you're asked to make important decisions using the best information available. It feels unfair, because it is. The ride home after that appointment is different from the drive there. When you arrived, you still believed life might somehow remain mostly unchanged. Now you understand that change has already begun. The stack of folders on the passenger seat is more than paperwork. It is evidence that your calendar, your priorities, and your daily routines are about to be rewritten. Home no longer feels exactly the same. One corner of the kitchen quietly becomes the place for medications. Another becomes home to appointment calendars and notebooks. Simple conversations now include words like treatment schedules, laboratory work, prescriptions, and follow-up visits. Without anyone announcing it, illness has moved into the house. Not just into the body, into everyday life. Looking back, I wish someone had told us one simple truth. You do not have to become an expert overnight. You only have to learn the next step, then the one after that, and then the next. Trying to understand the entire journey at once is overwhelming. Understanding today is enough. Tomorrow will arrive soon enough. That lesson became one of the greatest sources of strength we discovered. Not because it made the journey easy, but because it made the journey possible. This chapter is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to prepare you. The medical system is filled with dedicated people doing extraordinarily difficult work. But the system moves quickly, and families experiencing serious illness often feel as though they are running just to keep up. Give yourself permission to slow down. Take notes. Ask questions. Bring another set of ears whenever possible. Most importantly, remember that while medicine may focus on treating disease, you are still living a life. Never let the appointments become so important that they make you forget the reasons you're fighting in the first place. Chapter 3. When life begins revolving around treatment, there comes a day when the testing is finished. The scans have been completed. The blood has been drawn. The consultations are over. You might think that reaching this point would bring relief. Instead, it brings something unexpected. Reality. There is no longer any question about whether treatment will begin. The only question left is when. That realization settles quietly into the house. Not dramatically, not with tears every hour. Just a slow understanding that tomorrow will no longer resemble yesterday. Preparation begins in places you never imagined. A notebook appears on the kitchen table. It becomes the family command center. Appointment times, medication schedules, questions for the doctor, phone numbers, insurance information. Things that would have been impossible to remember only weeks before are now written down with careful precision. You discover quickly that memory cannot be trusted when fear is constantly interrupting your thoughts. Writing things down isn't a convenience. It becomes survival. Home begins changing, almost without noticing. A corner of the kitchen fills with medications. The refrigerator holds drinks chosen not because they are favorites, but because they may be tolerated on difficult days. A comfortable chair suddenly becomes more valuable than expensive furniture. Blankets appear, small pillows, thermometers, bottles of water. Things you never thought twice about now become essential. Your house hasn't changed, yet somehow it no longer feels exactly like the house you remember. Friends begin asking how they can help. Most of them truly mean it, but neither of you knows how to answer. What do you ask for? Someone to mow the lawn, pick up groceries, sit quietly for an hour. Most people want to solve the problem. The truth is, they can't. Cancer teaches everyone around it the same difficult lesson. Sometimes helping means simply staying present, not offering solutions, not searching for perfect words, just refusing to let someone walk through fear alone. Then comes another surprise. The waiting slowly gives way to routine. Not because things become easier, because human beings are remarkably adaptable. The calendar develops its own rhythm. Treatment days, recovery days, blood work, follow-up visits. The unknown slowly becomes familiar. You stop asking what next month might look like. You concentrate on tomorrow morning. And somehow, that becomes enough. There is a strange comfort in routine. You know where to park. You recognize the receptionist. The nurses begin greeting you with familiar smiles. They remember little things. Your favorite chair, whether you prefer a blanket, how you take your coffee, small gestures, tiny acts of kindness, things that never appear in medical journals. Yet they become some of the strongest medicine you receive. One lesson becomes increasingly clear. The people caring for you are fighting the disease, but your family is fighting something else. Fear, exhaustion, uncertainty, financial pressure, the emotional weight of watching someone you love suffer. These battles cannot be measured with laboratory numbers. There is no scan that reveals how tired a caregiver has become. No blood test measures hope. Yet those invisible struggles are every bit as real as the illness itself. Some evenings are surprisingly normal. You laugh at something completely unrelated to cancer. You watch an old movie. You eat dinner together. For a few precious hours, life feels almost familiar again. Then a medication alarm sounds, or tomorrow's appointment slips into your thoughts. Reality quietly returns. Those ordinary moments become treasures, not because they are extraordinary, because they remind you that illness has not succeeded in taking everything. There is still laughter, still love, still life. If there is one piece of advice I would offer every family standing where we once stood, it is this: prepare your home, but prepare your hearts even more. There will be days when plans change without warning. Appointments will move. Treatments may be delayed. Unexpected complications may appear. For us, my wife had complications. Her body reacted negatively to the chemo. It happens. Since a protocol is established, sometimes everyone does not have the reaction. Hospital stays were required that were difficult. The reaction that some face can show many symptoms that were never even imagined. Kidney problems, vomiting excessively, even the suggestion of heart problems. Emergency room doctors dealt with my wife professionally and quickly. Even though reactions like hers were unexpected, they do happen. Everyone reacts differently to cancer treatments. Chemo and radiation occur to most all patients, but how a person reacts to them is an individual story. This is our story. Yours may be completely different. Do not mistake those moments for failure. They are simply part of the journey. Progress is rarely a straight line. Sometimes courage looks like taking another step. Sometimes courage looks like resting. Both are victories. Looking back now, I realize Chapter 3 was never really about preparing for treatment. It was about preparing for a different way of living. One built on patience instead of certainty, faith instead of prediction, love instead of fear. The treatment would soon begin, but long before the first medication entered the body, the healing had already started. It began the moment two people decided they would face whatever came next. Together. Chapter 4, Active Treatments. Subsection 3, Completing the First Cycle. Everyone's treatment is different. The cancer determines that. Some of the people you meet in the waiting area all are the same, but all have a different cancer that needs these treatments. Breast cancer, throat cancer, pancreatic cancer, colorectal cancer. And the treatment for each is different. The protocol my wife had required infusion of a certain type of chemo followed by weeks of radiation treatments, then more chemo and more radiation. In our case, they even recommended extending more sessions of radiation. My wife took them. Just remember, your situation is yours, and the road to the end of treatments will be the one you know. Everyone else will have similar aspects of the cancer treatments, but everyone will have a different cancer regime. The final hours of the first treatment session often arrive with a surprising sense of accomplishment. The moment that once seemed impossible, the moment when treatment actually begins and becomes real, has now become a completed milestone. As the final medications are delivered and the treatment process moves toward completion, the medical team follows the careful closing steps that have been designed to support recovery. The patient is no longer facing the fear of the unknown. Instead, there is now a growing understanding. There is a plan, there are professionals getting the process, and there are steps that can be followed. And even when the unexpected happens, like it did to us, there are plans. Call the doctor, get directions, follow them. In our case, it was go to the emergency room. Your directions could be totally different, but follow them. They have the plan. We are just the next person going through these procedures. Nothing is absolutely certain. Be prepared for dealing with unexpected events. They will pass. Ours did. Being in the middle of it all might feel like a hurricane throwing your thoughts and emotions around. Be strong, believe in what you do, and this too shall pass. Before leaving, the care team reviews the next several days. Instructions are explained clearly, questions are answered, and the patient and family leave with a better understanding of what comes next. The first cycle represents more than a medical appointment. It represents the crossing of a psychological bridge. The fear that existed before treatment has been replaced by experience. The unknown has become something manageable. Walking away from that first session, the goal is no longer simply to survive the process. The goal becomes learning how to move through it, one day, one decision, and one milestone at a time. Chapter 5. Managing the Recovery Plateau. Subsection 1. Navigating the intermission. After the intensity of the first treatment cycle, life transitions back into the home environment. This period between treatments becomes a valuable part of the journey, a time for the body to recover, but also a time for the mind and spirit to regain balance. Many people imagine treatment as only the hours spent inside a clinic. The reality is different. The days between appointments are equally important. Recovery is an active process that requires patience, attention, and compassion. Simple routines become powerful tools. A glass of water placed nearby. A short walk outside. A favorite meal prepared without pressure. A quiet conversation with someone who understands. These ordinary moments become reminders that life continues beyond the diagnosis. As strength gradually returns, another important change begins to happen. The person receiving treatment starts to reconnect with the identity that existed before becoming a patient. Hobbies, conversations, laughter, and familiar routines begin returning, not because the medical journey has disappeared, but because life has made room alongside it. The recovery plateau is not empty time, it is rebuilding time. Chapter 5. Managing the Recovery Plateau. Subsection 2. Sustaining the Momentum. As the recovery period continues, the days begin to develop their own steady rhythm. What first felt unfamiliar slowly becomes a manageable routine. The uncertainty that surrounded the beginning of treatment starts to fade, replaced by a growing understanding of what the body needs and how important small, consistent choices can be. This stage is not about pushing harder, it is about rebuilding carefully. The most important progress often comes through simple actions repeated each day. A balanced meal, a short walk, a good night's rest, staying connected with family and friends. These may seem like ordinary activities, but during recovery, they become powerful reminders that healing is not measured only by medical numbers. It is also measured by moments of normal life returning. The body continues its work quietly in the background. Treatment has placed significant demands on the system, and recovery requires patience. Rather than judging each day by what cannot yet be done, the focus shifts toward recognizing what is returning. A little more energy, a little more confidence, a little more independence. These small victories accumulate. During this phase, the emotional recovery becomes just as important as the physical recovery. Many patients and families discover that the hardest part is not always the treatment itself, but learning how to live between treatments, how to plan without fear, how to enjoy a good day without wondering when the next difficult day will arrive. The recovery plateau provides space for those lessons. Quiet afternoons become opportunities to reconnect with the things that make life feel familiar. Conversations become deeper. Ordinary activities regain their value. A favorite song, a meal shared together, a walk outside, or simply sitting in a peaceful room can carry a significance that was easy to overlook before illness entered the picture. The goal is not to pretend the journey never happened. The goal is to discover that life can continue alongside it. As this recovery period moves forward, strength returns, not just in the body, but in the confidence that comes from knowing the path ahead. The patient and family begin to understand that they are not simply waiting for the next treatment session. They are actively preparing for it. Each day of recovery becomes another step forward, another reminder that progress is built through patience, consistency, and hope. Chapter 5: Managing the Recovery Plateau. Subsection 3: Closing the Loop. Remember, some cancer treatments run straight through for a set period of time. My wife had 30 days straight of treatment, no breaks. But that doesn't mean your treatment will be the same. It depends on your type of cancer and the protocol they have chosen. The final days of the recovery period bring a quiet but important transition. The body has had time to rest. The routines of healing have become familiar, and the focus begins shifting back toward the next stage of treatment. This moment is often filled with mixed emotions. There may be confidence because the first cycle has been completed successfully. There may also be a natural return of nervousness as the next appointment approaches. Both feelings are normal. The treatment journey is not a straight line of constant certainty. It is a series of steps forward, moments of adjustment, and reminders that progress happens one stage at a time. Before the next cycle begins, the care team reviews the body's response. Routine evaluations provide important information about how well recovery has progressed and whether the next phase can move forward safely. These checks are not meant to create fear. They are the guideposts that allow the medical team to personalize the journey and make informed decisions. For patients and families, these appointments often become more than medical reviews. They become moments of reassurance. The numbers, conversations, and observations all tell a larger story. The body has endured. The recovery plan has worked. The next step is possible. One of the greatest changes during this period is the shift in perspective. At the beginning, every appointment may feel like entering unfamiliar territory. The words, procedures, and schedules can seem overwhelming, but after completing the first recovery cycle, something important has changed. Experience has replaced uncertainty. The patient now knows what the process feels like. The family understands the rhythm. The medical team is no longer a group of unfamiliar faces, but trusted partners walking alongside them. The recovery plateau has accomplished its purpose. It has provided time for healing, restored confidence, and created a foundation for moving forward. As the next treatment cycle approaches, the journey is no longer defined only by what lies ahead. It is also defined by what has already been overcome. The first mountain has been climbed. The path is clearer. And with each step forward, the belief grows stronger that this journey can be faced, not alone, but together. Chapter 6, Looking to the Horizon. Subsection 1, Navigating the Next Cycles. By the time the next treatment cycles begin, something important has changed. The fear of the unknown that surrounded the beginning of the journey has started to loosen its grip. The clinic is no longer an unfamiliar place. The faces of the care team are familiar. The routines are recognizable. The questions that once felt overwhelming now have answers. The patient and family have learned the rhythm of preparation, treatment, recovery, and adjustment. This does not mean the journey has become easy. Every treatment day still carries significance. Every appointment still matters. Every conversation with the medical team remains important. But the difference is that the patient is no longer standing at the edge of an unknown path. They are walking a road they now understand. The middle portion of treatment is often about finding balance. The goal is not to fight every moment or ignore the challenges. The goal is to create a steady pace that allows healing, rest, and life to exist together. Families often discover that preparation becomes one of their greatest sources of strength. Keeping schedules organized, writing down questions before appointments, maintaining simple routines at home, accepting help when it is offered. These small actions reduce the feeling of chaos and restore a sense of control during a time when so much can feel uncertain. The relationship between the patient, family, and medical team also begins to evolve. Early conversations may have focused mainly on instructions and explanations. Over time, those conversations become partnerships built on trust, communication, and shared understanding. The nurses, physicians, and support staff begin to recognize the individual behind the diagnosis. The patient becomes more than a name on a chart. The family becomes part of the care journey. That human connection matters. During these cycles, progress is often measured in more than medical results. It is found in moments that might seem small to others. A day with enough energy to enjoy a favorite activity. A meal shared without focusing on illness. A laugh that feels completely normal. A morning when treatment is no longer the first thought of the day. These moments are signs that life continues even while treatment is happening. As the cycles move forward, the focus gradually changes. The question becomes less about how will we get through this, and more about what can we do today to keep moving forward. One appointment, one recovery period, one milestone at a time. The horizon begins to look different, not because the journey is finished, but because confidence has replaced fear. The road ahead may still require patience and courage, but now there is proof that it can be traveled. Chapter 6, Looking to the Horizon. Subsection 2, Embracing the Milestones. As treatment progresses, the meaning of success begins to change. At the beginning of the journey, success may have simply meant making it through the first appointment. Then it became completing the first cycle, then reaching the next recovery period. Slowly, the overwhelming size of the entire journey begins to break down into smaller, more manageable victories. These milestones matter. A treatment calendar can sometimes feel like a long road stretching endlessly into the distance. The appointments, medications, tests, and recovery days can create the feeling that life has been placed on hold. But as each milestone is reached, a different truth begins to emerge. Life is not waiting at the end of treatment. Life is happening throughout the journey. A completed cycle is not just another date crossed off a calendar. It represents endurance. It represents another challenge faced. It represents another reminder that the patient and family are stronger than they may have realized when this journey began. During this phase, many families find themselves rediscovering pieces of normal life. The illness remains part of their reality, but it no longer defines every moment. A conversation around the dinner table. A quiet morning together. A favorite activity returning to the schedule. A simple laugh shared without thinking about the next appointment. These moments become powerful because they restore something that illness often takes away, the feeling of being fully present. The medical team continues to provide guidance, monitoring progress and making adjustments when needed. But the patient and family also become more confident participants in the process. They learn what questions to ask, what signs to notice, and how to communicate their needs clearly. That partnership creates strength. The middle portion of treatment is often where resilience becomes visible. Not the dramatic kind of strength seen in movies, but the quieter kind. The strength required to wake up each day, follow the plan, accept the difficult moments, and still find reasons to smile. As the remaining cycles come into view, thoughts naturally begin turning toward the future. The conversations slowly shift from simply managing the present to preparing for what comes next. What will life look like after treatment? What routines will continue? What lessons from this experience will remain? These questions mark an important transition. The journey is still underway, but the horizon is no longer hidden. The path ahead has shape. The next milestones are within reach. And with each step forward, the patient and family discover that hope is not merely something they are waiting to receive. Hope is something they are actively building, one day, one choice, and one milestone at a time. Chapter 6, Looking to the Horizon. Subsection 3, The View from the Peak. There comes a moment during every long journey when you finally turn around and realize how far you have traveled. The beginning of treatment may have felt like standing at the base of a mountain. The path ahead looked steep, uncertain, and filled with questions. The appointments seemed endless. The terminology felt unfamiliar. The future was difficult to imagine. But now, standing near the completion of the active treatment phase, the perspective has changed. The mountain that once seemed impossible has been climbed one careful step at a time. This does not mean the journey was without difficulty. There were challenging days. There were moments of worry. There were conversations that required courage. There were times when simply making it through the day was an accomplishment. But there were also victories. A reassuring appointment. A stronger than expected recovery. A peaceful afternoon. A moment when laughter returned. A reminder that the person existed beyond the diagnosis. Those moments became the foundation of endurance. As the final treatment sessions approach, the relationship with the care team often carries a different feeling. The same precision and attention remain, but now there is also a shared recognition of what has been accomplished. The medical measurements, evaluations, and observations represent more than numbers. They tell the story of a person who has moved through a demanding process with determination and support. For families, this stage can bring unexpected emotions. Relief may exist alongside reflection. There may be gratitude for reaching this point, while also acknowledging the experiences that changed them forever. The end of active treatment is not simply the closing of a medical schedule. It is the beginning of a new chapter. The focus gradually shifts from frequent appointments and immediate treatment decisions toward long-term health, continued monitoring, and rebuilding everyday life. The lessons learned during treatment do not disappear when the final session ends. The patience developed, the communication skills gained, the appreciation for ordinary moments, the understanding that asking for help is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. These become lasting parts of the journey. When the final treatment appointment arrives, the most important achievement is not only completing the program, it is recognizing the transformation that occurred along the way. The person who entered treatment carrying fear and uncertainty is not the same person who reaches the other side. They have gained knowledge. They have discovered resilience. They have learned that even in the hardest seasons, hope can survive. Looking toward the horizon, the future is no longer measured by treatment cycles or recovery windows. It is measured by possibilities, by mornings yet to come, by conversations still waiting to happen, by moments of life that deserve to be lived fully. The mountain has been climbed. The view from the peak is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of what comes next. Chapter 7, concluding the program. Subsection 3, the horizon ahead. Every journey has a final step, but the end of treatment is not truly an ending. In fact, it is really a never-ending medical journey. After my wife's last radiation treatment, the appointment started. Heart doctor, oncology doctor, surgeon, nurse, and in the weeks after the last cancer treatment, my wife developed swelling in her legs. The doctor's first thought was blood clots, so a scan of her legs was done and no clots were found. My heart was up and down during time. Cancer and now maybe blood clots. It never happened, and the swelling seemed to be a reaction to the chemo and radiation just being flushed normally out of her system. Was it expected? No, and those are some of the things that can or cannot happen. The whole process is a transition, and one that leads us to quarterly follow-up exams, then 6-month follow-ups for as many as 3 to 5 years, just to meticulously examine that the cancer has not returned in any way. 18 million cancer patients were proclaimed cancer-free last year. Some were lost and did not win the fight. Those are the realities of what we all have to face. And in these 5-year follow-up exams, could I get cancer? Any of us could, but the magnificence of medicine is showing that in this year, 2026, research is moving ahead to find different and new treatments for some of the worst cancers. pancreatitis cancer, colorectal cancer, lung cancer, and even more projections are that one day not too far in the future, it is possible that cancer might have a vaccine, and cancer treatments could be as simple as taking 3 pills a day. Now that is progress. It wasn't there for my wife. But maybe it will be for your wife, granddaughter, or future generations. Life goes on. For many patients and families, the completion of active treatment brings a feeling that is difficult to describe. There may be relief, there may be gratitude, there may even be a moment of uncertainty as the structure that guided every week begins to change. For so long, life may have been organized around appointments, medications, test results, and recovery periods. The calendar was measured in cycles. Progress was counted in milestones. The next medical visit was always somewhere ahead, and unfortunately, the older we get, the more we need the doctors. Then, gradually, something remarkable happens. The calendar begins to belong to you again. The days are no longer defined only by treatment schedules. They begin to fill with the ordinary moments that illness often interrupts. The quiet morning coffee, the conversation with someone you love, the walk outside, the return to hobbies, the simple enjoyment of a normal afternoon. These moments may appear small, but after a difficult journey, they carry extraordinary meaning. The lessons learned along the way remain. The importance of listening to the body, the courage to ask questions, the value of accepting support, the understanding that healing involves more than medicine alone. The journey teaches that health is not simply the absence of illness. It is the ability to reconnect with life, relationships, purpose, and hope. Moving forward does not mean forgetting what happened. The experience becomes part of the story, but it does not have to become the entire story. The patient is not defined by the diagnosis. The family is not defined by the difficult days. They are defined by the love, patience, determination, and compassion they discovered while facing those days together. The transition into long-term wellness brings a new responsibility, remembering what was learned and using that knowledge to help others. Every person beginning a similar journey deserves to know something important. Fear at the beginning is normal. Confusion is normal. Questions are normal. But no one has to walk the path without guidance, understanding, and hope. The purpose of sharing these experiences is not to promise that every journey will be identical. Every person's path is unique. Every family's challenges are different. The purpose is to offer a hand in the darkness. To say, someone else has been here. Someone else has felt overwhelmed. Someone else has learned how to take the next step. And perhaps most importantly, you are not alone. The story closes not with a final medical appointment, but with a renewed appreciation for life itself. The horizon ahead is wide. There are still mornings to experience. There are still memories to create. There are still moments waiting to be lived. The journey through treatment changed everything, but it also revealed something powerful. Even after the hardest storms, a new beginning is possible. I only wrote this from the daily notes I took while my wife went from exam to scan to treatments to hospitals to finishing her protocol. I wrote this because I could not find books or YouTube videos that gave me the perspective I was needing. I am no author, I'm just a husband of nearly 60 years, and I needed to know everything my wife might be going through. I found out the hard way as it happened. Had a book or video told me this or that could happen, but it might not happen, well, I might have breathed a tad easier. Maybe not. I am a worrier, and I worried about my wife, as you will be concerned about your spouse, child, brother, sister, mother, father, aunt, uncle, anyone you are close to. Anyone can get cancer, and the hope of vaccines and pills instead of chemo and radiation in the future gives me hope. I hope it all happens. Good luck to you, and God bless.
Sincerely, just an old husband who wants to help.